Hey mates, and welcome to more MtMtEs. Today I'm going to be talking to you about the G.I. Joe classified series Irongranadier Destro with Disspoiler. We did a box opening and my camera for some reason decided to go to front camera mode instead of rear camera mode, and it didn't bother to tell me about it at all. So apologies for that. But I hope all of you enjoyed observing something from the blind perspective. Truly, it was like watching a podcast. Literally. Anyway, so in that video, I had a few questions, and since then, I've done some looking into it, and I've done some figuring. Hi, Cream. What are you doing? You gonna knock over the action figures? So I've done some figuring, and I decided, in that video I talked about, like, how in the world is Destro supposed to, or any human, supposed to handle the whiplash? Like, there's a lot of G's coming at you, and there's no headrest on this, and I pointed that out. And I got to thinking, and I went, but wait, there's this thing called the Irongranadier B.A.T, the Irongranadier Battle Android Trooper, and it clicked. This is not a vehicle built for Destro, but it is a vehicle built for Destro. Destro specifically wanted a vehicle that was cheap to build and create, didn't have the same safety features as normal aircraft because it's not for humans. It's for his battle android troopers to fly. And it makes so much sense now. Like this. What on earth was that? Is there a cat over there? Are you on my shelf? There's apparently a cat over there somewhere, and I don't know where. But something fell. And I have a feeling it was gung-ho from the top of the tower. So I'll have to fix that later. Anyway, back to what I was talking about. So this doesn't have a canopy. It doesn't have a headrest. It doesn't even have a seatbelt. Why would Destro ever fly this? And my realization is because he wouldn't. This is designed for his battle android troopers and just knocked everybody over. So let's get to talking about these figures since they so badly want to get knocked over all the time. I really wish that the G.I. Joe Classified Series figures came with some... you still have your sword in your gun? Yeah, you do. Cool. We really wish that the G.I. Joe Classified Series figures came with little stands, like the retro figures come with little stands. It'd be a lot more fun, I think. That way, you could occasionally just pose them in neat little places. Anyway, there. We could set Destro up there. And I had with Destro, and where does she go? Here she is. I have with Destro the Cobra Island Cobra Coil Baroness, because I figured she just kind of works the best, in my opinion, with the Irongranadiers. I think that is a good-looking Irongranadier Baroness. She is just slightly shorter than Destro. Definitely Destro is wider than her. Shoulder-wise, Destro has the taller shoulders. But the way that her armor is textured and his armor is textured, the textures match. And that's where I'm going for the comparison. Like, they may not be the right colors, but... because I'm not sure about that. But the texture-wise, they match these two so well. Like, it feels like she's wearing a slimmed-down Irongranadier outfit. And I really hope, like, if you do an Irongranadier Baroness, Hasbro, then please consider this mold that you did for Cobra Island. Just fix her elbows. No, she didn't deserve that treatment with the elbows that you gave her. Those are not fun elbows. And so fix her elbows. Her arms definitely need some working, Hasbro, but that's just my thoughts there. I think this would make a great one. Anyway, we're going to set the Cobra Island Baroness off to the side, and we're going to bring out, speaking of Android Troopers, let's go ahead and take your backpack off so it's not in the way of today's video. Let's look at an Android Trooper compared to our Destro. And this is the Irongranadier version. He has the Irongranadier version head, so his head is slightly taller than the normal version, but not by much. But his head is definitely taller than Destro's. There they are, kind of nose to nose, except the Battle Android Trooper, his chin ends up being at the tip of Destro's nose. So this guy can really mess up Destro just by headbutting him. Shoulder-wise, though, interestingly enough, the Battle Android Trooper's shoulders are just slightly taller than Destro's, but then again, Destro is wearing some shoulder pauldron on that side that make his shoulders beefier. So let's compare him over here to this side, where his shoulders are a little less beefy, and isn't that weird? They're the same height. Yeah, they're about the same height. Isn't that neat? So that's the comparison of the two. Now, to compare the... We're going to set Destro right there for him to fall forwards. Destro, stop falling forwards. Destro, stay there. Don't fall forward. You know what, Destro? How about you just stand here and you observe? Will you... There you go. Yeah, if you're going to fall forward, then I'm just going to turn you around. All right. So that is a negative with the Destro. For some reason, with the way they have his feet molded, he likes to fall forwards. But I figured what better way to describe the height and dimensions of the Disspoiler before we could go into Destro, than to bring in a Battle Android Trooper. So the nose area of the Disspoiler is up to the Battle Android Trooper's waist. And the this missile area for the Disspoiler here, and we got to move whatever you're called. You and all your explosives, we're just going to lay you down over here out of the way, where your little rockets can't get lost, because I've already lost one. So we're going to pick this vehicle up and look at its guns first and a comparison. So I'm going to put the back of the gun to the heel of the Battle Android Trooper, and then the front of the gun comes all the way up to the top of the leg for the Battle Android Trooper. Just kind of give you an idea of how long it is. Now, width-wise, this gun is as wide as it's just actually a little bit, not by much, but a little bit wider than the Battle Android Trooper's thighs. So that's a big girthy gun. That's the big part of it, where the two barrels are put together. But the little part at the top is about as wide as the Battle Android Trooper's forearm. No. Bicep. Sorry. So that's a comparison of kind of just the size of the double laser gun. And I gave that I looked into it more. I really felt at this thing, and I realized I was thinking that these are like terrible bullets, but they're not bullets at all. They're lasers. So this thing that comes down and turns around, it felt a lot like a ribbon cable to me, because it is a lot like a ribbon cable, I believe. And that it is just simply a giant power cable that comes down and around and powers the weapons array. At least, that's what I think. It could be completely different by the paint job, but by the textures, that's what I'm going with. So that's the nose area. And for a little comparison of the missiles that you pull out of the front, if I put them to the end of the Battle Android Trooper's chainsaw, they come right to where the chainsaw plugs into the Battle Android Trooper's arm. So that gives you an idea. They are just as long as the B.A.T's chainsaw. Now, from nose to cockpit, so where the nose kind of starts, we're gonna measure the nose by the tip of those two missiles, and to the cockpit is all the way up to the Battle Android Trooper, the BAT's shoulders. So there we go. So that's just a fun way to describe something's dimensions. Now we're going to come around here to his wings. And if we go from the tip of the wing all the way to where it connects to the Disspoiler, the wings that we attached during the last video, they stretch an entire BAT in length. Now the width of this thing from side to side, we're going to lay the Trooper across, is... Where's that bit? There it is. Okay, cool. Measured it right. All right, there we go. From side to side is one BAT in width. So his width is one BAT. And then lengthwise, if we measure him from behind the cockpit, which the cockpit is very close to the back of the vehicle. There's not much space back here, but you can put one Battle Android Trooper back here standing up. So he can stand on top of the two engines back here. And then he can he reach down and grab something? Yeah, it'd be cool if there was a little handle there somewhere. He can't really do anything but stand there and look pretty, but that's about the width or length of space behind the cockpit seat. Then on the front, we talked about it being 1. So if it was up to his shoulders there, then we're going to bring up his head and put his head there. And there we go. It goes down to his knees. So we're just going to do it the other way for funsies. And there we are. Of course, this is just terrible measurings, but it's going to be up to his shoulders again if I'm measuring all the way to the end of the engines. So weight-wise, I'm going to say, jokingly here, we got one bat in my left hand, and then this thing. I'm going to say it weighs as much as 10 bats, maybe more. So that's just the fun little bat comparison. Why not have a little fun today? So let's bring out Destro again, and we're going to drive the Cobra Night Attack Stinger. I think it was the Night Attack Stalker or Night Attack Stinger. I keep getting the S names messed up. But we've got Destro here, and we'll talk about him real quick from the bottoms of his feet to the top of his head. And I think this is an amazing Destro, and I'm very excited to bring it to you. Like I said before, the biggest negative to him is that his toes coil upwards. They just curl upwards, and I don't like that, because when you put him down on the ground, he keeps wanting to lean forwards, so you can't just put him like heel to heel and point his toes forward, or else he will not do it now because I'm talking about it on camera. But you witnessed it earlier in the video. You are a witness. Oh. Here we go. So the underside is actually textured. I really appreciate it when they do that, because he's wearing sort of cowboy boots, so there's not really much tread around the edges of a cowboy boot, so he can slip in and out of stirrups. But coming up here to the upper, his ankle area, these go all the way, almost all the way to his knee. So they're high-rise boots, or I forget what you call those boots, but they're higher boots than kind of normal ankle protection boots. And they're smooth and shiny all the way. Interestingly enough, we usually get a boot cut swivel, and this time we do get a boot cut swivel, but it's not at the boot. It's actually above all the wrinkles in the fabric, his uniform pants that plug into the boot, where he's tucked his pants in and just has this excess fabric around the sides. And I believe that's excess fabric around the side. That could be wrong. I could be wrong. That could be some crazy futuristic armor stuff around. Actually, I am wrong. That is some crazy. That is just some thick armor. So the top of the boot is right below the knee, and that is just a big. What would you even call that? Greaves? Yeah, I think you would call these greaves. But we come up here to his knee area. He's got a double jointed knee, and it's not the best double jointed knee, because one side is stiffer than the other side, but it does exist from what I hear. And it's got a decent armor here. This guy feels like he is wearing modern day plate mail. Like, it really, all of this coming together feels like that. His sword wrapped around the holster for his gun. That's what there was a weird shape we talked about in the rope attached to this sword hilt, and sword sheath. And I was trying to figure out where it went to, and realized it does fit around the holster like I initially believed. So it is done very well. We've got a very nicely etched kind of bottom tip to that sheath, and the sword length comes all the way up, and it feels like it's made out of some sort of wood. And we've got a band where the first rope attaches, and then up at the top where the sword actually enters, we've got a thicker band where the second rope attaches, and then we've got the area where the sword comes in and out. And of course, his sword is a fun little accessory in and of itself that we're going to talk about in a second. But there's his other leg. It's done very well. Like, there's balance to these legs. I really like the way this armor feels, and that's why I compare him to the Cobra Coil Baroness in the textures of the armor. Like, they just feel like they're cut from the same cloth. And we come up here to his chest area. He has got waist swivel, and he has got a ball-jointed waist swivel, which is really fun. And then he's also got a ratcheted ab crunch. So we come up here to his shoulders, and his shoulders are a bit on a butterfly hinge, but not very big butterfly hinge, but just enough to get some of those good sword wielding poses. The core body of him is textured really well. We've got some strips of armor over his abs. We have a really intricate breastplate, like there's something etched into that core area of the breastplate. Maybe it's a family crest or something like that. But there you got really well done for his breastplate. I really just like how that feels. It feels very Destro to me. We get this big old shoulder pauldron on one side that's very smooth and flat, and it feels like it could take a hammer blow or something like that, and it kind of has a peak to the side, and then on the other side, so that's above his right arm where his cape is. So he's got half cape that's soft goods. Take that, Cobra Commander. Destro gets the soft goods. And he even has a little rope that attaches the cape to this pauldron on his right-hand side. And then his left pauldron, these three very tall half-moon kind of shapes that feel very sharp. And they go almost to the point where they cover his vision on his left-hand side. So I don't really understand why those are like that, unless it's to to break swords or something. I don't know, but they look cool, so that's cool. Then he's got a piece of armor that wraps around his neck to protect his neck from getting hit by swords. So he's very well armored up, and not like combat armor Cobra Commander. This guy is armored in such a way of a Battlefront commander. Now, he isn't afraid of getting hit. He's not scared. He is a warrior through and through, and his outfit just displays that. And the textures for his arms are really well done. We've got a lot of this like Kevlar feeling fabric that comes down his arms, and you could tell that he's wearing some sort of Kevlar suit underneath this armor. He is just ready to go. He could take hits all day long. This is Destro we're talking about. We come up here to his head, and his head has some really cool textures into it. We get this crazy face thing where you think it's all just kind of he's melted this metal down on his face or something. And then you come down here and there's a rectangle cut out where he's got a mouth underneath that rectangle, and that's really, really neat right there. I really like that that little bit. That little bit helps. He has a little pistol, kind of normal like all the other little pistols. It even has a little holster where you can actually pin it down, which I really, really appreciate. So, all in all, with his double-jointed elbows and his really just well-done everything, this Destro is he's almost in the S ranking. He'd be in the S ranking if it wasn't for his inability to stand straight up sometimes. He doesn't like standing straight up. He does not like doing that at all. This Destro has got to learn how to stand. Now, he comes extra with this sword that's a cutlass that's curved. Maybe that's done wrong, but I don't really care. That's the best place to fit it, in my opinion. I mean, there could be a different place. Let me know in the comments below if I just attached it to the wrong spot and there's actually a better spot. And, ooh, I forgot to mention he's got these bits that feel like rivets around the edges of his thigh armor, which is fun. I like me some rivets. So that's Destro all in all. I'm going to set Destro down over here and talk about some of the accessories that he comes with. Some of these accessories include an extra head that doesn't really have much happening to it. I wish it had some sort of battle damage. I think that'd be cool if we saw shards of the mask falling off as an extra head. And then he comes with that's an Irongranadier sword. He comes with this shield that has two guns underneath it, reminding me of the Overseer's desk in Fallout that has two guns hiding in it. It's just neat. And then there's a sword kind of attached to the top of the shield. And it'd been neat if that was a removable sword. And then there is another sword he comes with, which I put down here somewhere. He comes with this claymore. Really, really long claymore. It actually sits, if I put the pommel on the ground, the tip of it comes up to his nose. Actually comes up to right to his eyes. It is a big, big sword. This sword is no joke. That claymore is no joke. So That is Destro from the Disspoiler. Had to take a hydration break. Aha, FIFA reference. Let's take a look at the Disspoiler now. Now, first and foremost, I do want to mention there's an Irongranadier flying the Disspoiler because that totally just works best. And I think I may have mentioned this already, but I'll mention it again. I think having an Irongranadier bat flying the Disspoiler makes the Disspoiler work so much better, in my opinion, than having Destro flying the Disspoiler. Destro does not seem to be the type who would be just in something like this. Like, he may. I mean, I could be wrong about that. I didn't watch too much G.I. Joe. I was more of a Transformers fan, but still, I like the vehicles, and I really like this vehicle. If a bat's driving it, if a human's driving it, I got some problems with it. You know, there's no headrest to stop you from getting whiplash, and there's no canopy to stop you from, suffering your skin peeling off from sand blowing at a couple 100 miles an hour. You got problems if you don't have a canopy. And Destro definitely would have problems if he's flying this around at full speed without a canopy. Good grief, those neck muscles must be intense. He must be like insanely thick-necked, like those things from Brutal Legend. They're just headbangers. Anyway, so we talked about the scale of this vehicle, the weight of this vehicle. Now, I want to quickly compare this vehicle to another vehicle. What fell off? One of these little missiles fell off. Now, these little missiles aren't too big. Where did I put that bat? Bat, where are you at? Here you are. No, you're not the bat. You're Darklon. I need the bat. Are you the bat? You're the bat. So we're going to take a look at this little missile real quick. The missile stretches from the tip of it to the end of it is about the same length as a bat's arm. And it's got a rounded end. And that end actually has a little bitty port in it, I think. So it could be a missile, and it could also be a bomb. All right, you served your purpose for a minute. We're going to talk about you in a second. All right, and there are 6 of these little missiles. They're really fun. They each attach to the wings that we attached onto this guy. Now, let's talk about putting that missile back in place. So, a negative on this is that the herringbones for these wings don't really keep the missiles on very well. They did the same thing with these they did with the Night Attack, which is this Cobra Vamp. The Cobra Vamp and the Disspoiler have the same thing going on with their missiles, where they both have missiles that have a piece of plastic in the middle, and their herringbones have a piece of plastic missing. So that means that you can't attach the Disspoiler's missiles nor the Night Attack Vamp or Stalker or Stinger, can't believe I'm spacing on that name, missiles to the Raptor. Instead, you can only attach them to either the Disspoiler or this guy over here, which is a big negative in my opinion. I would like some more versatility, and I was a little upset to find that. But I am happy that you can switch those bits out. Now, when it comes to textures, this thing excels at them like always. We've got rivets going down the wings, all the way around. We've got a few rivets on the main fuselage area, but there's not many. There are instead big vents that I can feel on either side of these little wings that stick out. Now, these 2 wings that stick out don't have any rivets on them, but they do have little flaps that you can feel etched in there, and that's really fun. And then at the front area, you get more vents on either side of the front of the cockpit. The cockpit itself has got some really nice little textures in there. The front area where the 2 missiles are, I think that'd been nice if it was a bigger vent there. Like if we had big vents going up. Instead, it's this big flat zone that doesn't really have much texture going on there, except for some small lineage. But that's it. It's very smooth and sleek all over. Like, this thing is obviously designed to go faster than the Rattler. That's why I'm like, I don't think a human should drive this. That's unsafe. somebody could break their neck, literally. And this having a robot drive it just makes more sense, and it makes me think more of the drones in Cloud City flying around. Anyway, the air intakes on either side are big, and we got some really great vent textures inside of them. They're big squares on either side. We've got some crazy engines down here in the back. Just knock everything over as I spin him around. But he's got two big engines that remind me a lot of the engines that came with, actually four. There's two over here on the wings. And they remind me, at least texture-wise and size-wise, of the engines that came with Siege Jetfire, to give you an idea. And even they stick out a bit behind the pilot's seat. But on the wings, they're actually set in just a bit. So there's actually a height difference, or a length difference between the two inner engines and the two outer engines. Now, I wish they had bigger blast effect ports so that you could plug in the blast effects like what you use on the Rattler. But since they have smaller ones, you can use smaller blast effects. Let me see if I can grab one as a showcase real quick. We've got that's not a small blast effect. That's ammunition. We don't need that. Oh, that's a fun one. That's not going to work there. Oh well, he fell over. It happens. Yeah, it'd be nice if we get... Okay, so here's one. Here's one. Look at this. Look at this tiny little explosion blast effect. We're just gonna plug that in. There we go. There we go. Isn't it adorbs? It doesn't want to plug in. See, it's not... It's actually a little too big. So it requires a different size entirely. It's like not the bigger ones and not the smaller ones either. It's the medium-sized ones. We don't get many of. Anyway, so 4 engines in the back. It's got some good weight to it. We're going to take out the trooper real quick. So you let go. I know you like it. You're happy in there. Give me it. We need to let go. No. I need it. I need to talk about the interior. Thank you. He's grown attached. So he really likes it. And you can fit him in there with his backpack. His chainsaw was also in there, but for some reason, this one's chainsaw likes to fall out. It isn't really the best connection in the world. But we're going to set him down over here. You could just kind of lay there. Okay, so the interior for this crazy thing is done to, it feels like faux leather for this big seat, and it's a big, wide seat. It is a massive seat. You would think that multiple figures could sit in here side by side, but no, it's just for one. And it does just fit one. Once you put in the arms on either side, like there should be some armrests in here or something, but it works. This seat works for the interior here, especially if you're using it for a B.A.T. Now, it does wiggle. The back of it does wiggle, and I don't know what's up with that. Like, I thought maybe it was removable, but it's not. I don't know. Then we get a deep area where the legs can go. We've got a couple of joysticks that don't move. Be neat if we could actually, twist them. But otherwise, they do wiggle. They wiggle. And then there's this display that I assume has display stuff written on it. Alright, so as vehicles go, this isn't a bad one, but, it's not the best. But it's definitely better than that glider. Like, the glider was cool, but this is better than the glider, that's for sure. I think this is a more fun flying vehicle than the glider. Do I wish it also, it had a few things? Yeah, and it needs, it needs a port. By the way, I forgot to mention it's got VTOL engines. There's 2 engines at the bottom. This thing's got 6 engines. And there's 2 engines that face straight down, so it can just kind of hop up. Neat. But it can't go on a flight stand. There's no flight stand port, so you've got to get creative with how you attach it to a flight stand. The underside is very nice, though. We got a really well done underside with some more rivets. I love me some rivets. Rivets everywhere down here. And we get the gun there. And we get some really nice textures all in all over this thing, which is what we love from G.I. Joe Classified. And these little skiffs on either side that help support it. It's just a fun little vehicle. It's a use your imagination vehicle, have fun vehicle, a what if kind of vehicle. And I think that it works great if you were making a Bat army, an Irongranadier Bat army. This is the type of vehicle you want your bats flying in, fighting the Joes in. Like, each bat gets their own Disspoiler. It despoils the Joes. Joe. I don't know. But I think all in all, this vehicle gets an A, in my opinion. It does good. It's not the best G.I. Joe vehicle, but neither is it the worst. It's a very well done little vehicle. And I would like to know, like, how far from the Air Chariot is this vehicle? Like, how different is the Air Chariot from this? Because from what I hear, this is supposed to be a retool of the Air Chariot. So is this like an exact recolor? Or is this a heavy retool? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching today's video. Once again, I'm going to give Destro the A+ category for G.I. Joe Classified Series figure. That is an excellent figure. Wonderful textures, all in all. It still falls forwards, and I wish the extra head had some battle damage. But all in all, A+ figure. Vehicle's getting an A. It's not a bad vehicle. It's not the best vehicle, but darn it, it's a great little G.I. Joe vehicle. It's wonderful. Now, when it comes to the price of above $100, I think had it come with a few more accessories for Destro, then yeah, but it's your money. I'd suggest seeing if you can find it on sale, because it is a fun little vehicle, and it definitely will look fun on the shelf. It'll have people looking at it, that's for sure. But I have blathered on long enough about this guy. I hope that you enjoy it. I hope that you all out there have a happy 4th of July. And I hope all of you out there remember to take some time and have some fun. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I've been Blind Prime, and this big thing over here in the corner's been Cream to Cat. Who's a good cream? You're a good cream. Yes, you are. Bye-bye for now.